everybody. Happy Friday. Wait, let me make sure you can. I didn't check my mic before I started. You should be. Let me see. You should be able to hear me now. Um, hey everybody, happy Monday. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I see Brady. Brady already put 1, 2, 1, 2. Thanks, Brady, for letting me know you can hear me. You're already on point. That's funny. Hello. I see it says LinkedIn user. Let me see what it says on LinkedIn. I don't want to pronounce your name wrong, but I think it's Vin Katesh. Hi. Welcome everybody. Let me know where you're joining me from today. For those of you who don't know, I am in Wake Forest, North Carolina. So I'm on the East Coast. So welcome everybody. Brady let me know. He already put the 1-2s in, so everybody should be able to hear and see me. I see Michelle. Hey Michelle. I'm gonna give everybody a few more minutes to kind of hop in. I see Dr. Wiggins. Hey. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Wiggins. I did, and I hope you did too. Mary, hi, Mary. I see all of you coming in. So let me know where you're. Vin Katesh, I see you say that you're in Tampa. Hi, Tampa. It's nice and warm over there. It was a little bit warmer today. The last couple of days it was like deathly cold. Well, for me, my version of deathly cold. But it warmed up today, so it was pretty nice. Michelle, Chicago, Tina in STEM, North Carolina. So you're in the area, Tina. But welcome everybody. I'm gonna give people a few more minutes to Jess. I see you from Chicago. Hi, thank you for joining. Um, I'm gonna give everybody a few more minutes to hop in. Mary from Maryland. Hey, Mary. And for those of you who don't know, who might be new joining me, this is your time to ask any questions that you might have for me for being a CRA, whether it's your first CRA job, maybe you're already a CRA, you have some questions, you're struggling, whatever the case may be, drop your questions in the comments. And I just go in chronological order. So first come, first serve. But you can literally ask me whatever CRA related, CRA career related questions that you may have and get them your questions answered live here. Hey, Crystal. And I see you're in Boston. Oh, wow. It's probably super cold over there. And then let's see. Venkatesh says it's chilly a bit in the evening, going back to New York tomorrow. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. Dr. Wiggins, Houston, Texas from North Carolina. Nice. So yes, everybody, thanks for saying hello, letting me know where you're joining me from, and put your questions in the comments. So you can get your questions answered. And let me see. I want to make sure I'm streaming there. Okay. Okay. Yes. So for those of you who don't know, like I said, this is your time to ask any questions that you might have. I typically do these, the live Q&As every Monday. Last Monday, I was not on. I was not feeling well. So with the exception of like holidays or if I'm not feeling well, then other than that, every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm live. I'm doing these Q&As just for you guys so you can ask me any questions that you want. So while everybody is getting their questions in, I don't see and I see Venkatesh, you DM'd me I see that you Venkatesh, you DM'd me a question. So feel free to drop your question. You don't have to DM me your question. Feel free to drop your question like right here on this live in the comments. You can DM them if you want to, but also feel free to drop them right here live. That helps me better keep track of them and making sure that, I'm answering them in the order that they're received. So and then also other people get to see them too, so they can see what questions I address during the live. So if they're watching the replay, what have you, it just better streams on the process, and it better helps out everybody if we keep the questions here in the comments. So Venkatesh, if you don't mind, please pop that question here in the comments. But before we go into that, I did want to point out that and I see a couple questions coming through, so I'm keeping track of the order. Just keep them coming. I'll address them in a second. But I did want to briefly address the fact that lately I've been getting a lot of people that come to me who are concerned about not having monitoring experience specifically, and they feel like that is the reason why they aren't getting any callbacks or any email responses, why they're getting ghosted, why they get the interview and then they don't get the offer. They're all these people, and maybe this is you, maybe you're thinking the same thing right now too, but all these people are really feeling like that the monitoring experience is holding them back and it's stopping them and it's blocking them from pursuing their CRA dreams. And some people are telling me that it's because they've seen it on job descriptions. Some people are telling me that it's because they've heard it from recruiters or friends or colleagues or other places, other CRAs. But that is not true, y'all. You don't need monitoring experience specifically. You don't need monitoring experience to become a CRA, to land your first CRA job. That's not accurate. Are there some entry level CRA jobs that might say that they want monitoring experience? Yes. But those are the exceptions and not the rules. Most cases, when you see entry level CRA jobs, they may say something about, some clinical research experience, but they do not mean monitoring experience specifically. Um, just experience in general. And then sometimes on the job posts where they do have monitoring experience listed as a requirement, sometimes you can still apply and still get the interview and still get the offer for those jobs if you know how to market yourself well. So I did a 30 over 30 series in November, and I talked all about brand and marketing and selling yourself. I did a whole thing on BMS, and that's typically the solution to most people's. I would say like 90% of the people that I see and the clients that I have and the people that come to me for help, that's typically 90% of the people's problem. If they address those things, if we address those things, problem solved, right? So when you know how to properly market yourself, you can essentially overcome that missing experience, that missing monitoring experience piece. It's all about marketing. And when I say marketing, positioning yourself, so once you get to marketing, you've already established a strong brand, right? But positioning yourself so that you are grabbing the attention from the right people, meaning like the recruiters, the hiring managers, all the people that are looking for entry level CRA candidates, you're grabbing their attention, right? So whether that be online or even offline, sometimes people forget or underestimate the power of offline networking, which is why I'm a big proponent of both. But maybe you've mentioned it to even like a family member or a friend, and they're having a conversation with someone, they bring you up, and then they might look at your LinkedIn profile, for example. And depending on what they see, that could either mean a phone call, a message, an email, what have you, them reaching out, or them just continuing to scroll and pass you by. And that's the power of marketing. And I try to, we talk about it during the lives. I try to put it in my content. I talk about it on my podcast. But I really feel like maybe I'm not doing a good enough job of getting the point across, or maybe I just need to say it more. I don't know. Maybe I need to say it in a different way, but it really is that simple, y'all. You don't have to get all these degrees and all these certificates and these certifications. And so many people come to me and they think it's a education training type of problem. Like, oh, I just need to learn how to be a monitor and then I can get the job, right? No, that's not true. In these entry level CRA jobs, they expect for you to not know how to monitor because number one, you're entry level. Number two, they have a whole training program and they're going to teach you how to monitor. They're going to teach you how to be a CRA. So that's not the expectation. And you coming in thinking that, okay, let's say you did take a training, and nothing against taking trainings, because they can be beneficial in terms of having a better understanding and knowledge of the job itself. But there is a huge difference between doing something that is going to help you know how to do the job or learn the job itself, how to be a monitor, how to monitor, versus doing something that is solving your specific problem and helping you get the job. The two are not the same, y'all. They're not. And I think that's where a lot of people are getting confused. They think, oh, if I take this program, or if I get this certificate or this degree, then all of a sudden that makes me qualified, and it does not. You still have to bridge the gap and show these companies how you can be a CRA. Why would you make a good CRA? What value do you bring to the table? What skills, what attributes, what qualities do you bring to the table that enables them, makes them feel confident enough to bring you in and say, this person can do the job. Michelle can do the job. Jess can do the job. Crystal, David, they can do the job, right? What is in your marketing, which would be your resume, your LinkedIn profile, what have you, what is making them want to call you? What is making them want to email you or send you a message? And ultimately, it has to be you showing the value that you're bringing to the table. What are you going to bring to the table on day one that is beneficial to them? What can you do for them? What need are you fulfilling for them? Like, of course, they understand there will be some basic training, but there still has to be a baseline of skills, like leadership skills, for example, good communication skills, for example, good analytical skills. There still has to be a strong baseline of skills, especially soft skills that you're coming to the table with, that will then help you better market yourself, ultimately sell yourself, and get that job offer. So that's what people are missing. I just wanted to point that out, because I've gotten so many questions lately about it, and I don't think I'm getting my point across. So if you have any questions about what I just said, please drop your questions in the comments. I want to help you guys. I want to help you succeed. So talk to me. Let me know what your thoughts are about what I just said. So the first question, it looks like it came from Jessie. Let me know if I'm saying your name right. I think it's Jessie. Let me know if I'm saying it right. So first question, how did you personally assess when you were ready to become a CRA? For our clients, how do you assess whether they will be able to handle the role of a CRA? So great question. How did I assess when I was personally ready to become? Number one, I always like to point out the fact that it's a thin line between your belief in your own confidence and like kind of, having that, how can I put it? Like, it's like the basic belief, but then like that stretch belief, if that makes sense. So like there has to be a balance. Like it's a thin line between like that confidence, basic belief, and then like you're delusional. If that, maybe that makes a little bit more sense. So you always want to start with like the belief and the confidence in yourself, but not that like delusional belief, like, you just you just, I don't know, graduated from high school, you just passed 8th grade, and you're like, "Oh, I'm ready." That's leaning on the delusional side, right? But starting out with that confidence in yourself and that belief that, okay, this is something I can do. This is something that I want to do. This is something that I can be good at, right? And then assessing the experience, the skills that you currently have. So when I figured out that I wanted to be a CRA, I was already in graduate school. I was in my PhD program, and I knew going that scientist bench route wasn't going to be for me. So that's when I pivoted into the clinical research space. So at that point, I knew I already had like the basic understanding of how to conduct an experiment, how to do research. I knew I had that understanding. So I already, once I chose to, pursue the CRA career, I knew that I already had that basic level of skills, right? Then so it's just a matter of then acquiring some of the clinical research skills, because it is different, y'all. For those of you who are listening and you're on the preclinical bench science side, R&D side, it's different. So then I was like, okay, well, I need to figure out, and it's also a different language too. So I wanted to work on getting more familiar with the clinical side language that they use, the acronyms, all those different things, the process, how a drug goes from phase 1 all the way to approval, and then post-marketing studies. I got familiar with all those things. Independent study, y'all, on my own, reading books, reaching out to people, contacting people. Back then, LinkedIn it existed and it was a thing, but it's not as big as it was now. So I did reach out to people on LinkedIn, but then I also did cold calls. Like I literally went to my dream company's website, and I found different and I don't even know, nowadays it's like everything is a lot more secure and it's harder to just call people and have a conversation with them. But I literally went to their website. I found out who was like the VP, for example. I've spoken to several VPs, and then I would just call, and then I would have a conversation, and then I would literally um pick their brain and have a conversation, and they would share their stories with me. And then once I did that, I also volunteered at a site to get like a basic to get my first CTA job, cuz even getting that first foot in the door for any position can sometimes be challenging, right? So I volunteered at a site, and then I got my first opportunity as a CTA, and well, my first real opportunity as a CTA anyways. And then at that point, seeing all the different moving pieces from the CRO perspective, getting to interact with CRAs and see what they're doing, having conversations with them, getting to interact with the different trial managers and things of that nature, the sites, the study coordinators, getting to interact with all these people. That is what allowed me to kind of see, okay, now I'm getting the hang of things. Now I'm seeing, what documents, why we collect certain documents, where these documents should be filed, where they're housed. Is it the site? Is it internally? Is it both? The process for getting sites activated and started, study maintenance, closing out studies. Like once I started seeing the big picture and putting all those pieces together, that's when I determined that I was ready. Now, some people, they might say, well, they're ready a lot sooner. They feel like they're ready a lot sooner, and that's okay. Some people might say, well, they still wouldn't have felt ready at that time and they want to get even more experience, and that's okay. So it's not to say that you should have X amount of experience, right, before you make that decision, but it needs to be something that you feel comfortable and confident with. Now, I say that, but with the caveat that some of y'all are waiting too long. Like there's a lack of belief in yourself, because I see some of y'all that come on here Q&A, and even that reach out to me personally. You have such amazing experience and you still haven't, you know, jumped out there yet. So some of y'all, I will say that there can be a thing as waiting too long simply because of lack of belief in yourself. But if it's for other reasons, like, let's say you don't want to travel as much or something, yeah, that's fine. That doesn't count. But if it's just strictly based off of you not believing in yourself, then we have a different story. So that's how I determined when I was ready. And then the second part of your question, how do you assess whether they will be able to handle the role of a CRA? Going back to, and this is a good question, because this will help you tap into how to properly market yourself as a CRA, right? Going back into the role, what companies are looking for when it comes to CRAs. So if you're watching this, job description, go to entry level CRA job descriptions, go to senior level CRA job descriptions, and see what they're looking for. And that will give you a clear picture as to and don't so much focus on the specific task duties, individual task duties, responsibilities that they have listed, but more so overarching things, high level things. Like I mentioned earlier, leadership, communication, analytical skills, those types of things that you want to really hone in on and display throughout your marketing, throughout your when you're interviewing, even if you're just having like a quick chat with somebody over coffee, or if it's a quick DM on LinkedIn. Like all of that is a part of your assessment on whether or not they feel like you would make a good CRA or not. So it's kind of hard to cover everything, Jesse, in this, in this Q&A session. Because I could talk about that for hours in terms of how do you know whether you be able to handle the role of a CRA or not. And that might be a good topic for like a podcast or a show in and of itself. So I'll ponder on that one. But let me know if that answered your question, Jesse, or if you have any more questions. So next question, David. Hi, I'm transitioning from the biopharm industry. I'm looking for a position like CRA or CTA. What are the steps to achieve? Um, awesome. And I see also that you have MD. So for you and I have clients that have MDs and MD as well. And so for guys, people that have MDs, I always recommend navigating the process will be just slightly different, just because and then I also must add that I don't know exactly like where you are with the MD. Like, is it a foreign MD? Did you finish medical school but you didn't complete residency? Like, I don't know all the details as in terms of like, or were you a practicing physician and then you just decided to pivot? So all of that would kind of change my answer a little bit, but just generally speaking, so for you, because you do have the MD, I would actually just shoot for the in-house CRA or CRA roles instead of the CTA roles. If you want to, of course, feel free. But for you, that would be, if we were working together, that would be my focus for you. And here's why. Again, I don't know your complete MD background story, right? But just assuming that you at least got the degree, right? Just assuming that you didn't go further and you didn't practice. Um, I would say that I would focus on the in-house CRA or the CRA role, just because with the CTA role, they may potentially say that you're overqualified and it's not something that you're going to want to do long term. And I've seen this happen with like people like in the MD situation and then applying for the assistance role. That's kind of the feedback you may sometimes get. Now, again, marketing solves all of these problems. So if you know how to market yourself in the correct way, then you can definitely avoid having that, you're overqualified combat feedback. Um, so marketing is going to solve your problem again here as well in this particular situation, David. But the steps that you need to take in order to achieve it, the same thing that I've been mentioning all along, it's going to go back to branding, marketing, and selling yourself. You have to know how to sell yourself, and you have to know how to specifically market yourself. And how, where to get that information. How do you get that information? What are they specifically looking for? The job description. You have to go back to the job description. And you just want to show that, for example, you having the MD, I would really highlight my clinical experience. I don't know how much you have, but even if it's just the rotations in medical school, I will really highlight that clinical component, the patient interaction component. If you had to handle any types of drug in any way, shape, or form, I would handle that component. If you had to write any notes, any progress notes, I would emphasize those components, because all those can be tied back into the CRA role in handling patient medical records, patient data, writing reports, things of that nature. So you really just want to be able to clearly articulate that these are the skills that you're bringing to the table from day one. These are the skills that I have. This is how I can help you. This is how I can fill your need. This is how, essentially, just to sum it up, long story short, this is how I can help you with as little much effort as possible on your end. Because like I said, yes, they'll train you, but of course the goal is to not have to start from scratch if possible, right? Nobody really wants to start from scratch with training a person. So if you can show that you have the baseline of skills that would make a good CTA, CRA, study coordinator, whatever position you're applying to, then that is what will set yourself apart, and that is what will help you ultimately get that call back, get that interview, get that offer. So I hope that answers your question, David. If not, let me know. Drop another question in the comments. So, and I see Jesse said, Jesse said, you did answer my question, but let me see where you put that. You did answer my question, but I'd love to hear your thoughts and on your podcast, since I listen religiously anyways. Thanks, Jesse, for being a avid listener. But no, that's I'll definitely work on that. I think that would be a really great topic. So thanks for that. So I'll put that together for you guys and let you know when it comes out. So back to the next question. And like I said, David, let me know if I did not address your question or if you have another question to piggyback off of the feedback that I gave you. So, Dr. Wiggins, I'm having a hard time getting into the industry without having any full experience. I just need a good mentor. This is my dream job. Um, so can you please be more specific with your question? I know you said that you're having some issues and then you said without having any full experience. So do you mind elaborating on what do you mean when you say full experience? You don't have any full experience. What does that mean? And yeah, drop give me a little bit more, Dr. Wiggins, so I can help you. And then Venkatesh says, do you assist in branding? Yes, I do. That is literally one of the main things that we focus on: branding, marketing, and selling yourself. Everything that I talk about, I assist in. So yes, to answer your question. Um, and then Jesse, another question. What are your thoughts on cover letters? It seems the job market is becoming extremely competitive lately, and I've been told cover letters rarely get read, but that can also be your saving grace. Um, so yes, Jesse, there are mixed responses that you'll get, but cover letters is something that I also work on and create for my clients. You get a cover letter it's a more so like a master template that we tailor for every single company, every single job. But I always strongly encourage a cover letter if they give you an opportunity to include one. So sometimes the way some portals are set up, you may not necessarily be able to attach it. But whenever possible, always include a cover letter if, and let me add this caveat, if it is something that is going to be additive to your resume. So you don't want to just repeat the same thing that's on your resume. If you're doing that, then there's no need in sending in the cover letter. The cover letter should really be an addition. And you want to include things like why you want to work for this company specifically, why you want to be a CRA or CTA, whatever job you're applying to. Why do you want to have that role? And then further, why do you want to take on that role at that company specifically? So you got to speak to the company specifically and some of the things that drew you to them. You can pull this information from their website. You can pull this information from employees that work there, having conversations with employees. Maybe you heard that they have a really great training program, or they're really good about career development or work-life balance, whatever the case may be that speaks to you. You want to incorporate why that role, why that company, and then get into how you fulfill their need, how you can solve their problem, what you bring to the table, all the things that we've been talking about so far. You want to articulate that, how you bring all those skills and things to the table now. Going back to the training piece that I just mentioned, you will be trained, right? You will be trained, but as little training as they can do, they would prefer. So if you can show them how much you're bringing to the table, is think about it as like effort. Like if you were going to hire somebody to come, I don't know, work at your house, clean up, for example. Would you rather hire the person that's familiar with your house and they know where all your stuff goes and they can just come in and start cleaning up? They don't have to ask any questions. Or would you want to bring in the cleaners that they don't know anything and you have to spend 30 minutes to an hour explaining to them what you need done before they even get started? So when you think about it that way, of course, you would go with option A. You want to bring in a person where you could just be like, let them in the door and they have at it, right? Same concept when it comes to bringing in new candidates. Again, they're going to train you. They're going to train you. Don't worry about that. But you want to show them when you market yourself, when you're branding and marketing yourself, you want to be able to show them all of the things that you're bringing to the table and how you can help them now from day one when you start, how you can, help them now. And that is really what really makes you stand out. And that's ultimately what will have them calling you versus, continuing to scroll and overlook you. So I hope that makes sense, Jesse. Let me know if you still have any questions after that. Next question comes from Angel. So, good evening. Do all CRA positions involve traveling? I am a mom of two with an MSc in health administration. However, I can't really travel because of the kids. So, um, first of all, there are some CRA positions that do not require traveling. If you're looking at the regional traveling CRA jobs, then yes, of course, they will require traveling. Now, after COVID, things have shifted a bit. Some sites, especially sites that have like the immune compromised patients like oncology, they don't necessarily want people coming on site, but then there are some oncology sites that still allow people on site. So things have changed, and some sites are trying to operate from more of a remote-based monitoring type of framework. But with that being said, there are plenty of CRAs that are still traveling. So when you apply, when you're looking for CRA jobs, you want to look in the requirements, the job description, somewhere in that JD. They'll have travel requirements. So if it says 60 to 80%, then that's a regional traveling role. You want to stay away from those if you're the person that's looking for no travel. Typically, if you're looking for no travel, you want to find the roles that say like 10 to 20% or less. Because even as an in-house CRA, sometimes you may have to travel to support the study needs. Sometimes you can get on a study and you'll never have to travel. But I just always like to tell people, if you're looking for the no travel roles, the 20%, if it says 20%, 10% still apply, because those roles are the non-traveling roles, but they have to put that in there because you never know. Maybe you have to do an investigator meeting. Maybe you need to do a co-monitoring visit. Who knows, right? So it might be a little travel here and there. So I would say, Angel, to focus on those positions. Now, if you look for in-house CRA roles specifically, that's another option too. Depending on the company, that role could vary. Sometimes companies have in-house CRAs doing more so like CTA responsibilities, CTA tasks. So managing the TMF, for example, sending out mass communications, taking care of trackers and things like that, granting access, system access, taking meet and minutes. Sometimes companies lean in that direction when they have in-house CRAs. And then sometimes companies, they're literally just that, in-house CRAs, where they're still conducting visits. They still have their own site workload. They still have their, protocols. They still have all those things, but all of the visits are being done remotely. All of those things are being done in-house. And then there's roles where you may not be doing the visits, and you may not be doing the typical CTA responsibilities, but you're more so managing the sites and supporting that traveling CRA, so that when they're on the road and they're doing visits, then you're taking care of the in-house site management stuff. So if the site, for example, has protocol questions, you would address that. If maybe they'll have you going into the EDC and looking at some of the queries that have been answered and seeing if you can close out some of those queries, resolve some of those queries. Maybe they might have you checking on action items, outstanding action items that the site might have, and have you working on that. So it just depends on the company what the specific responsibilities of that in-house CRA would be. But definitely, for sure, that's another option. Now, Angel, I will mention, I don't know how you feel, like what your specific circumstance is with your kids, but if you feel like you can't travel just because you're a mom and just because you have kids, if you truly want to travel, that can happen for you as well. I just want to point that out. Most of us CRAs that are women, we're moms, we have kids, we have families, and we make it work. So if it's something that you really, really want to do, and you really want to maybe just experience being on the road for a while, that is an option for you. You can make it work. I actually have a podcast with Rashida Hall. If you check out my podcast, Confessions of a CRA, and she talks about how her and her husband did it. They're actually both CRAs, and they have kids, and they worked out a plan. So it's definitely possible, and that's just one example out of many. It's definitely possible if it's something that you really want to do. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Next question is from Michelle. So I'm currently back in school and will graduate on 6/24 with ABS in healthcare leadership. I have 18 years of experience working with special needs children. I have been applying for entry level positions, but haven't had any luck. It's very hard for me. And Michelle, I definitely feel your pain. I was once where you are, applying all the time, every day, every week, hearing nothing, feeling disappointed, frustrated, ready to give up. Like, I was literally you. So I completely and totally understand your frustration and your pain. But I'm here to let you know that it can absolutely be simple and it can be fun. The process can be. Every time when I say that to people, they're like, Jasmyn's crazy. But no, guys, y'all, it really can be a fun and simple process. And I'll even challenge you guys and tackle easy on the end. Me and my clients have this thing now where we focus on saying that landing your first CRA job is fun, simple, and easy. And it can be, y'all. It really can be. When you take the focus away from what you don't have and really zone into what you do have, and really focusing and getting creative. Sometimes we have to get creative, but really taking what you do have and being creative and showing the right people, because not just anybody, but the right people. You want to get the attention from the right people, showing them how you would make a good CRA, how you can make a good CRA for their company specifically. Going back to everything I've been talking about so far, how you can come into the company with XYZ set of skills. That's really what it's about. And if you, Michelle, specifically have that healthcare leadership background and you've been working with special needs children for almost 2 decades, then I don't even have to see your resume or hear any more of your story to know that you definitely have some skills, some experience, some the backgrounds that would make you a great CRA. You just have to be able to articulate that and brand and market yourself as such. And it sounds simple because it is simple. So I hope that helps. And Michelle, also, I don't know if you checked out the 30 over 30, but when I did that series back in November, I went through details of how you can market yourself, for example, on LinkedIn, and how to set up your profile specifically. I literally gave templates. Same thing for resume. I don't know, for you guys that are kind of new, or maybe you guys missed it, I did a live resume audit. So go back and look at that. And I literally went through step by step, line by line, of how you want to create a CRA specific resume. So, and then also podcast series I have going on right now is a radical interview series. I'm literally going through, taking you guys step by step on how to ace the interview. So, check out all the different things that I have on my podcast, on here on LinkedIn. My YouTube channel might be easier to access the videos because of the way YouTube is set up versus LinkedIn. But either way, the live Q&A sessions, I cover these things in more depth in my podcast, and then when I do like the audits and things like that, so that you can see what I mean when I say brand, market, and sell yourself. So the next question, it says LinkedIn user. I think that is, let me look on Mary. So, hello, Jasmyn. I am also transitioning from a CNA hospital setting role into a CRA or CRC role with no experience. I have been applying for months and months now. The rejection is no joke, and I am so frustrated but haven't given up. What do I do to get into the field? Thank you. Great question, Mary. And I don't want to be the dead horse. Anybody that knows me, that's my saying. I don't want to be the dead horse. But going back to the same things, Mary, the same things that I've been talking about for people that, all the questions that you've heard me answer so far, same exact thing. You really got, especially when you have absolutely no experience, that is when you really have to hone in and really focus on the branding and the marketing. Anybody in any field, honestly, branding and marketing is going to be everything when it comes to taking control of your career, taking back ownership of the career, and really creating the career and life of your dreams. You really have to have that branding and marketing piece in order. But transitioning careers and then having no experience, and I see you said you're coming from a CNA hospital, so even though you may not have, and I don't know what you mean when you say experience, but that's why I wanted to at the beginning set the stage for what the difference between like the monitoring experience and clinical research experience, because you do have hospital setting experience and you said as a CNA, so that in and of itself gives you a leg up in terms of the clinical experience, um that will be expected as a CRA once you do get into that space, once you do get into that role. So going back to what I said about being able to articulate the skills, first of all, you have to be aware of the skills, the experience, the expertise that you bring to the table. A lot of you guys simply just aren't aware. So that would be my first suggestion. I always forget to take a step back and point that out because a lot of people simply aren't aware. And this, I'm so glad you brought this up, Mary, because you're a prime example. You said that you don't have any experience. You said you have no experience, and that's not accurate. Because you're coming from that CNA hospital setting. So I get what you may mean when you say no experience, like the specific like clinical research type of experience. But even any type of experience that might be transferable, that still counts as experience. So you don't want to count yourself out, because when you're approaching this whole process with the mindset of, I don't have any experience, this is so hard, I'm not having any luck, the struggle is real, the ghosting is real. When you're approaching it with those thoughts and beliefs, for those of you who don't know me, I'm big on mindset, I'm big on energy. When you're approaching it with those thoughts and beliefs, that's literally what you're attracting and bringing back into your life. And I know that's not what you guys want. I know that ultimately all you want to do is get the job and fulfill your dream, fulfill your wishes, right? So and it's hard when you're in the moment, um to make that shift, because when I was there and I was getting all this rejection and I was, not trying to, this was, if I heard myself talking, I would have rolled my eyes and been like, this girl is crazy. She does not understand what I'm going through. I would have said that to myself. But of course, hindsight is 2020. But I really had to sit down and focus on what was serving me and what wasn't serving me. And just, honestly speaking, having those thoughts of how hard it was and the focusing on the rejection and the ghosting and what I didn't have, those thoughts were not serving me. They were not getting me any closer to my goal. So that's when I was like, okay, I have to shift. I have to make a change. I have to pivot. And I shifted my thoughts. I shifted my beliefs. I literally sat down and thought about what I wanted to believe, how I wanted to feel, and I focused on those thoughts. Now, of course, the negative thoughts, they'll still try to creep in, the limiting beliefs. They still do to this day. But we just have to try our best to just let them float on by. I like to capturing them in bubbles and blowing them away. And then focusing on my intentional thought of landing my first CRA job is fun, simple, and easy. And that's why I have my clients to focus on that. And you guys can focus on it too, because you really want to get very specific and intentional about your thoughts. And just come from the place of, are my current thoughts serving me? And if the answer to that is no, what are you going to do about it? So that's just kind of some food for thought. And then let me see. I see Dr. Wiggins says that I don't have any experience. They tell me that I need more CRA experience and training. And my background is clinical psychology and research as a professor. And then Dr. Wiggins also said mental health and wellness. So yes, the same thing. Even though I know you, Dr. Wiggins, you're saying that they told me that I need more CRA experience and training. I'm not sure who you mean by they. Let's just say you're talking about recruiters or other industry professionals. Not sure what you mean by they. But I'm here to tell you that that's not accurate. That's not accurate. I landed my first CRA job with no monitoring experience. All of my clients landed their jobs, no monitoring experience. The ones that were focusing on other roles like project management, study coordinator, no experience in that area. So that is not accurate. Whoever is telling you that you need more CRA experience and training, that's not accurate. Can it be helpful and beneficial once you start the job? Yeah, sure. But do you absolutely need it to get the job? No, you don't. You just have to focus on branding and marketing yourself. Um Angel says, "Thank you. You're so welcome, Angel." Michelle, exactly how I feel. Thank you. Um Jesse, I see that you have another question. Um how do you coach client experience versus job description for jobs your client should or should not apply to? Do you have a cutoff? For example, if they had a bachelor's and a 1 year of clinical research experience and the job description says 4 to 5 years minimum, or a job description that says minimum 2 to 3 years and they have 1 or 0 years, etc. I think I understand your question, Jesse. That corrects me if I'm wrong, but I think you're saying how do I determine if if the client or the person is a good fit for whatever job that they're specifically applying to based upon their education and experience. Let me know if I'm missing it, but I think that's what you're asking me. So I always say that if the job description says 2 years or less of experience, still apply. Once you get past that 2 year mark, especially in your example, Jesse, where you said the 4 to 5 years and you have no experience in that particular area that they're looking for, let's just go with the CRA example. Let's go with the CRA example specifically. So if you're looking at, because I also find that a lot of people are also just applying to the wrong CRA jobs, and that's why you're being ghosted, because you're applying to senior CRA jobs. And if you're a newbie and you're looking for your first CRA role, you should not at all ever be applying to senior CRA jobs. So that could be your problem. How do you know? Going back to Jesse's question, so if you see that 4 to 5 your experience requirement listed in the job description, then you know that's not for you. You know that's more for the senior level people. But if you see 2 years or less, still apply. And I say 2 years because 2 years, y'all, is still technically entry level. People say it takes about 2 years, roughly 2 years, to kind of get acclimated into, being a CRA and really getting comfortable in the role. And for example, for my position specifically, for my very first job, my very first CRA job, that is, the job description said that 2 years of monitoring experience was required. That's what the job description said for the job that I actually got as my first CRA job. And so it is possible. I've done it. And then the same for my clients as well, have applied and gotten offers at some of those same companies that had those same requirements. So if you see 2 years or less, I still count that as the entry level category. And then going back to Jesse's question, some companies allow, depending on the level of degree, they'll allow an exchange for experience. So for example, if you have a bachelor's level degree, they may say that you need 4 years, right? But if you have a master's level degree, they might say you only need 2 years. And then if you have like the doctorate level degree, they might say 6 months or no experience required. So that's another thing to keep in mind too, that depending on the level of education, sometimes they'll allow that to supplement some of the years of experience. I hope that answers your question, Jesse. Let me know if I did not. And then Dr. Wiggins says, I have been turned down by so many agencies and they say it's been on limited experience. Yes. And then I see you also put another Dr. Wiggins, you said, I will stay on track and encourage. Thank you for everything. True motivation. Oh, I'm so glad to hear you say that, because my goal is ultimately to motivate and to not discourage and to give you guys hope, because one thing that I've learned is that the people that I've seen that have not been successful, the only difference between them and the successful people is that they just given up. They've given up hope. They've given up trying, and they've given up. They've quit. So as long as you don't give up hope and you keep going, you can definitely, absolutely reach your goal. I just want to make that. I just want to point that out. Make that very clear. But Dr. Wiggins, for you specifically, if you're having these conversations with these agencies, I don't know. I'm assuming that their phone, maybe their email, but I always say that if you can get in contact with somebody and you can have a conversation, then that in and of itself is evidence and proof to me that you have something. Because the people, y'all, that are truly not qualified, they're not gonna have a conversation with you. I spoke with a young lady who had actually gotten interviews for the PPD training program and the Park Apex training program, CRA training programs. And she didn't even realize how big of a deal that was. She just thought that they were just talking to everybody. I am here to let you know today that recruiters, hiring managers, they are super busy and they are not talking to people for fun. Hence the reason why there's some ghosting. I'm not saying condoning it and saying that it's okay, but a lot of times people are just honestly over allocated. They're overworked, they have too much work, and they have to prioritize when and how to respond. So if they're responding to you and having a conversation via phone, email, what have you, they see something. So that's why I say for you, Dr. Wiggins, I know that that's what they're telling you, and that's what you, and a lot of, I said at the beginning, everybody keeps saying it's experience, it's experience. They're telling you it's experience because they don't know how to articulate it any other way. But when you know how to brand and market yourself, experience no longer becomes an issue, because when you brand and market yourself in the right way, you come off as having the experience that they're looking for. You come off as having the experience that they want, the experience that they need. You come off as, okay, this person, they don't even realize that you don't have monitoring experience, or that you don't have this mysterious experience that people keep telling me that they're getting as feedback. They won't even see that because you've branded and marketed yourself so well as the CRA, it's the study coordinator, it's the CTA, whatever your focus is at this time, because you've done so well at branding and marketing yourself as that candidate. Now they experience doesn't even matter. And I'm looking at the time. I get carried away sometimes. So I have a call at 8. So I'm gonna have to have a hard stop. But let me try to answer this one last question. So you talked about branding, and this question goes from I think it's Jillian. I see you on LinkedIn, but for whatever reason, sometimes it says LinkedIn user. I think it's Jillian, or Gillian, but let me know if I'm pronouncing it right. You talk about branding yourself. How do you go about branding yourself for the job? So that's a big question. Like I said, I do have a hard stop, so I won't be able to do it justice if I try now. But going back to the 30 over 30 that I did in November, where I went live every single day in November, so 30 days straight, I talk about branding there in a lot of detail. So check that out. Check that out. Jillian. Perfect. So check that out, Jillian. I talk about it there a lot. And that I'm glad I'm gonna make a note of that. I think that's another potentially really great topic for a podcast, or even just going live. Talking about branding yourself, and I actually have a branding expert as a guest that's going to be coming on, a professional personal branding expert, so you'll get to hear from her too, and how to go about branding yourself. So maybe I'll try to push that forward and schedule that sooner rather than later, Jillian. I'm glad you brought that question up, but check out the 30 over 30 series from November. That will answer your question, to hold you over until I can get you more details. So Jesse says, you've answered all my questions specifically. Awesome. Can't wait to be on the other side when I finally land that. Of course, I can't wait for you either. It really is amazing, y'all. The changes in your life that you can see once you are on a path, not just a job, but a career path that is fulfilling mentally, emotionally, financially, having that financial security, being able to take family trips for free, all the different perks that come along with being in the industry. I mean, it really is amazing. So I just want to leave you guys with, please don't give up hope. Um, it really is just focusing on that. It could be the slightest tweaks that make the biggest difference. So I really want you guys to hear me when I say it can be fun, simple, and easy. So, for those of you who don't know, I do offer coaching, and I still have open enrollment for open slots available for my one-on-one coaching, where I help clinical research professional women confidently land their first CRA job offer with no monitoring experience, no CRA certification, all just simply just through teaching you how to brand, market, and sell yourself. And the program includes an initial onboarding call where we immediately revamp your resume, your LinkedIn profile, your cover letter. You get 6 months of weekly one-on-one coaching with me, private sessions. And right now I'm offering a special. So you'll get 12 months for the same price as 6 months. So you'll have me every single week, private sessions for a full year. You also get immediate access to the online curriculum. You'll get direct messaging support. You'll get a mock interview with a recruiter and so much more. So if you're ready to take your search one step further and bring in a coach, book a sales call by visiting inspiringcra.com. I would love to hear from you guys. So that, I don't see any more questions that have popped in. I think that covers all the questions for today. But Jessie, I'll definitely work on that podcast episode. And then for you, Jillian, I will work on the branding episode. So thank you guys as always. Thank you so much for joining. You know I love doing these things, talking to you guys, answering your questions. I always have fun. And in the interim, between now and next Monday, if you have any questions, you know where to find me on LinkedIn. You can shoot me a message, DM me, and I'll be more than happy to address your questions. Other than that, I hope you guys have an amazing week, and I can't wait to see you next week.